The lecture hall of the Galactic Institute stretched like a canyon of polished obsidian, filled with 300 students from 72 different species. Professor Zelthon's crystalline form refracted the ambient light as he gestured toward the holographic display suspended in the chamber's center. And so, his voice resonated through their universal translators. We conclude our survey of extinct apex predators with the most fearsome creature the galaxy has ever known. The hologram shifted, displaying a planet of swirling blues and greens, scarred with the browns of deserts and whites of ice caps. A collective hush fell over the assembled students. They called it Sol 3. Zelthon continued, his form pulsing with what passed for excitement among the crystalline. Or, as its inhabitants named it, Earth. Sarah Chen sat in the back row, her fingers tightening around her datapad. She'd learned early in her first semester at the Institute to keep quiet about her origins. Being one of only 7 humans in a student body of thousands made her a curiosity at best, a specimen at worst. The dominant species evolved as pursuit predators, the professor explained as the hologram zoomed in, showing forests and plains. Unlike the Vraks, who evolved to ambush prey, or the Kathrani, who hunted through pack coordination, these creatures simply followed. For hours, days even. They would track wounded prey across vast distances until their target collapsed from exhaustion. A Vrak student, all 6 of her mantis-like limbs folded in contemplation, clicked her mandibles. Professor, surely you exaggerate. Such a hunting method seems inefficient. Inefficient? Zelthon's laugh was like wind chimes in a storm. They were so efficient they hunted dozens of megafauna species to extinction before they even developed agriculture. But the truly terrifying part wasn't their endurance. The hologram shifted again, showing a humanoid figure. Sarah's breath caught. The image looked like it had been pulled from an archaeological database, ancient, primitive, but unmistakably human. It was their adaptability, Zelthon continued. This species emerged in tropical regions but spread to every climate on their planet. Frozen tundras that would kill a thermalite in minutes, deserts that would desiccate a hydron in hours, jungles so dense the arboreal collective declared them uninhabitable. They thrived in all of them. A glimmering from the front row raised a tentacle. What ended them, Professor? Surely such an adaptable species would have survived whatever cataclysm struck their world. That's the fascinating part, there was no cataclysm. Not natural anyway. Zelthon's form dimmed, taking on what Sarah had learned to recognize as solemnity. They destroyed themselves, wars, pollution, resource depletion. By the time the Galactic Council made first contact 3,000 cycles ago, Sol 3 was a dead world. Radioactive, toxic, empty. Sarah felt her heart pounding. 3,000 cycles. The galactic standard cycle was roughly 1.3 Earth years. That meant the Council thought Earth had died almost 4,000 years ago. The tragedy, Zelthon said, is that this species showed such promise. They had split the atom, achieved chemical propulsion spaceflight. Their mathematics and theoretical physics were advancing at unprecedented rates. Some xenoarchaeologists believe they were perhaps only centuries away from achieving FTL capability, independently. Then they would have been the 4th species to achieve FTL without external contact, noted a Talaxian student, their scaled head tilting with interest. Precisely. But their aggression, toward their own kind no less, was their undoing. They couldn't overcome their predatory nature long enough to reach the stars. Zelthon paused. Let this be a lesson. Evolution grants gifts, but without wisdom to temper instinct, even the most formidable species can fall. Sarah's hand went up before she could stop herself. The lecture hall fell silent. 300 pairs of eyes, clusters, and sensory organs turned toward her. Yes? Zelthon's voice carried a note of curiosity. The human student in the back. Please share your thoughts. Sarah stood, her legs trembling slightly. Professor, with respect, your information is outdated. A ripple of confusion passed through the chamber. Zelthon's crystalline form brightened, sharp angles catching the light. I assure you, I've consulted the most recent xenoarchaeological surveys. It's called Earth, sir. Sarah interrupted, her voice growing stronger. Not Sol 3, and we're not gone. The silence that followed was absolute. Impossible, Zelthon said flatly. The Council surveys were conducted by probes that detected radiation and environmental toxins and concluded the planet was sterile, Sarah said. She'd wondered when this conversation would happen. They never landed, never sent a ground team. They just assumed. She pulled up her own datapad, projecting credentials into the shared holospace. Student ID, passport. Birth certificate showing, place of birth, New Seattle, North American Federation, Earth. We survived, Sarah continued, her voice filling the chamber. Barely. It took us 1,000 years to clean the atmosphere, to heal the oceans, to make peace with ourselves. We're still only 3 billion strong, living carefully, remembering what we almost lost. But we learned, Professor. We learned wisdom to temper those instincts you mentioned. Zelthon's form had gone completely still, something Sarah had never witnessed before. And, Sarah added, a small smile playing at her lips, we've been FTL capable for 200 years now. We just kept quiet about it, watching, learning, making sure we were ready before we announced ourselves. 7 humans, a student near the front whispered. 7 students from a species we thought was extinct. 7 here, Sarah corrected gently. But there are human observers on 40 council worlds, diplomats waiting for the right moment, scientists collaborating anonymously in research projects across the galaxy. She looked directly at Professor Zelthon. We're not the deadliest species anymore, Professor. We decided not to be. But we're still here. The professor's crystalline form seemed to dim and brighten in rapid succession. Shock, Sarah had learned. I believe, Zelthon finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, I need to update my lecture materials. Sarah sat back down as 300 students erupted into excited chatter. Tomorrow, the Galactic Council would learn that humanity had returned. But tonight, in a lecture hall billions of light years from Earth, one human student had announced what her species had become. Not the deadliest predator, but perhaps something far more dangerous, survivors who had learned to be wise.